I have a big problem. As you can see, I've built a beautiful village. Well, actually, I am still building the village. And we have a windmill and a butcher. But the windmill doesn't have any crop fields. And also the butcher doesn't have any animal pens. And that's a big problem, because without those two things, the farmers and butchers won't be able to produce any food to feed the village. So let's build some farms. But before I start doing that, I have one question. Do you guys think one windmill will be enough to feed the entire village? Well, I'm not so sure about that. So why don't we start off this episode with some quick time lapses. Enjoy! Well, as you can see, I may have gotten a little carried away with collecting the logs. And now my axe is completely broken. But I at least have enough logs for the upcoming future. And while I was collecting all of the logs, I also already hit day 400 in this world. So that's pretty amazing. But I've also collected all of the items I need to build 2 more windmills. And I've also 2 shulker boxes, one with all of the flowers and one with all of the other plants. I've also finally created my own shulker box with my personal items, and also this yellow shulker box with all of the items I can put into some item frames to decorate builds. But before I start building these windmills, let's take a quick nap and mend my axe with the XP farm. My axe and everything else is completely repaired, and this time I've taken Diablo instead of flying with the Elytra, because we of course can't forget about him. But now it's time to start building the first windmill. Enjoy this time lapse. It took some time, for you guys it was just a few seconds, but the windmill is finally completed. At least the outside is. As you can see, I even already connected the path to the windmill. And this windmill is just a copy of the other windmill, but I've made some small changes, like the small roof over here, because the other windmill doesn't have this one. I also added a small chair. And the other windmill has a chimney right here, but for this windmill I will place the chimney on another spot. And actually, these need to be 2 windows. Yeah, this is a lot better. But as you can see, the inside isn't completed yet. But before I do that, I have a second windmill to build. Let's go. And boom, the second windmill is also completed. And as you can see, for this windmill I only added the windmill itself and not the house of the side, just like the other windmills. So this windmill is purely for grinding the wheat, but it also doesn't have an interior. And I also added the spruce stairs and slabs to the rest of the path. But now for the interior of this first windmill, I'm just gonna copy the interior of this windmill that I built in one of the previous episodes. So I will also add this contraption with this belt and the shafts to the other windmill. And I will again do that in a small time lapse, so I'll see you guys in a second. As you guys could see, the interior of this windmill is completed, so I will give you guys a quick look inside. But it won't take long because this windmill only has 1 room. But I tried to decorate it a bit different than the other windmill. So as you can see, it still has the belt on the inside with all of the shafts that connect the rotational power to these grindstones, which grind the wheat. We of course also have this ladder to get up, so above here you can put the wheat inside. and it will be grinded by these grindstones. And all of the flour will be collected down below. And also a lot of barrels and chests and some flour, because this windmill is purely for grinding the wheat. But for the third windmill, I don't want to build the same contraption as the other two windmills. So I guess for that windmill, I will try to figure out a different system to grind all of the wheat. So let's grab all of these shulker boxes and move them over to this windmill. Okay, let's start with creating a floor and fixing this wall, because, well, it isn't really a wall. So let's fix that. And also mine out the floor. And just like in the other windmills, I will create a floor using some andesite and some polished andesite. And well, I'll try to figure something out, I guess. Let's also, in this windmill, create a belt to bring down the rotational power. Let's also hang a lantern. And also a cobweb just for the extra detail. And also a grindstone to finish the belt, just like a sort of wheel where the belt turns on. I already have an idea on how the villagers will grind all of their wheat. In this windmill, instead of having two grindstones on the wall that grind the wheat, I want to have one big grindstone in the middle. And I think this looks pretty good. But now that I see it like this, I think the floor needs to be half a block higher. So let's do that real quick. And in the middle, I will just place down some stone to act as some sort of pit in which the villagers can throw down some wheat. And a matter of fact, I'm just gonna grab some wheat. Well, I think that won't be enough. So yeah, the villagers can throw some wheat inside of the pit. And then they can lower the big grindstone. And when this grindstone turns, the wheat will be grinded into flour. But now I just need to think of a way to connect these two. Well, I guess I'll see you when I figured something out. It took some time, but I figured something out. But it might look kind of complicated. But trust me, it is a system that theoretically should work, but I will explain it to you. So we of course have the grindstone itself, but as you can see, it's lifted up a bit. Because I really wanted to show the inside of the pit with some wheat and some wheat that's already grinded into some flour. But this big grindstone is of course pretty heavy. So I've built a chain system which allows the villagers to lift up this grindstone. So right here they can roll up the chain to lift the grindstone even higher. So they can collect the flour or put some more wheat inside. And then they can roll off the chain to lower this grindstone so it can crush all of the wheat into some flour. But the grindstone still needs to turn. And that is where the windmill wings are for. Just like the other windmills, we have the log that goes all the way through the windmill and is connected to the wings. And when we take a look above here, you can see that this log is connected to this belt, which is connected to this wheel down here. And then this wheel is connected to this gearbox, which is connected to another gearbox, and then to some shafts. And these shafts bring the rotational power to these two lowest gearboxes. And the shaft that comes out of this gearbox is connected to a big cogwheel, which is of course connected to the ground, because it would be a bit strange if this cogwheel was just floating. And now the grindstone, when it is lifted up, just like we see here, it doesn't rotate, because the cogwheel of this grindstone, this one above here, isn't connected to this one. So this cogwheel is rotating, but the grindstone doesn't rotate with it, because the cogwheels are not on the same level. But when the grindstone is lowered with this chain, these two cogwheels are on the same level, and so the grindstone will rotate. I know it is a pretty complex contraption, but it's just for the decoration, so it doesn't really matter. And besides this monster, I also added some chests, some barrels, of course some flour, and some more chests, and also a decorated pot. And as you might notice, this wall is moved a bit backwards, because at first there was also a wall right here, like you can see on the other sides. But I didn't have enough room, so I just pushed the wall back a bit. And I've also added a door which connects this room to the house of the windmill. But as you can see, there isn't an interior yet, so let's fix that. Let's first add a stone floor, and again I don't want to build the same interior as I did in the other windmill. In this windmill we have a small bedroom on the side. On the ground floor there is a kitchen with a small sitting area, and when we go up the stairs there is a storage for all of the crops. And actually these pumpkins need to go, and I will replace them with some hay bales because I don't think this is the right biome to grow some pumpkins. But for this house I already have an idea. I am going to remove these stairs and instead add a wall. And I will turn this into the storage area of the farmers. And for that I will change the door into a spruce one. And on this side I'm going to create a new door. Just like this. Oh, that's the wrong side. Like this, and right here will be the living area of the windmill. I want to start by creating a fireplace and a chimney. Okay, I've created something and I'm pretty happy with it. It is very different to the fireplace I did in the other windmill, but I really like the fact that it's really small and you have this small opening to put some logs inside. Maybe to finish it off I can even add some trapdoors to the side. Yeah, I think this also looks really good, and maybe even on the front. Yeah, I think this is what I'll be going with. And on the outside I just created a really simple design, but I still need to do the top. So let's get up, break this roof. And for this chimney I will copy the chimney of the other windmill. We can add the campfire and the trapdoors on the side. And I don't want to do exactly the same thing, so let's add a wall on this one. Next up I will also create some stairs to get up. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna bring this roof one block down, because above here there isn't enough room to create a bedroom. And now that that is done, it is a lot easier to create some stairs. Let's also close off this wall. Now that I have enough room, I can add 2 beds. We of course can't forget the other details, like a tripwire hook as a coat rack, an armor stand, which I can place, maybe now, yeah, finally. Also a small carpet and a small table. And we can also hang a lantern. And on the ground floor the villagers of course need some furnaces and a table. And of course a little chair. And I actually forgot that the campfire in the fireplace needs to be a spruce campfire. Because just like inside of the other windmill, they will use spruce wood as the firewood. And let's also add a carpet to this floor. But let's grab these 3 shulker boxes. Because we of course can't forget about the flower pots. And also the paintings are of course very important. This bee painting looks pretty cool. Ooh, and I really like this one. I don't really know what it is, but these yellow parts look like some wheat fields with the blue sky on the background. So it really fits the farm theme. And last but not least, this yellow shulker box with all of our item frame items. Let's see, maybe a small knife on the furnace with a cutting board. We can also add a piece of bread to the table. And on this floor we can add an apple. And lastly, an empty water bottle. For the storage area, let's also add a lower roof and some ladders to get up. And let's just add some pumpkins, some hay bales, some barrels, and of course some chests. And now to finish it, let's add the item frames. The interior is completed. On the outside right here we have some firewood and also a bit of storage. And when we take a look inside, we of course have the small kitchen with a small table. And of course a fireplace, and I already said it, but I really love this design. We also have some storage under the stairs, some flower pots and a small cutting board. And when we go up the stairs, we have a small bedroom with some painting, some more storage and of course some more flower pots. And I also added some candles. We of course also have the storage area. On the outside there is some more flour. And on the inside there's just a lot of storage. We have a lot of hay bales, some chests and barrels. And we of course can't forget about the composters. And up the ladders there's even more storage. Here we also have some pumpkins, some hay bales and some more barrels and chests. And we have of course the windmill itself, where I've built this whole contraption inspired by the create mod. The only difference is that this contraption doesn't really work. But that doesn't mean it will never work. Who knows, maybe in the future I could start a create series on my channel. And in that create world I could rebuild this windmill, but that time with working contraptions using the create mod. So if you would really like to see that, make sure to leave a comment so I know, and maybe in the future I will start a create series. And while you're commenting, you might take the time to press that subscribe button. You know, just so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. But let's get back to work because we have some more things to do. Because as you can see, the area is pretty empty and there aren't any farms. What you can see here is a screenshot of the world map of my village. And I will use it to show you guys and to visualize for myself what the layout of the fields will be. I think I want to have a big wheat field in the middle and also one down here. And obviously the villagers also need a potato field. And I think it would be cool to create a small path between these wheat and potato fields. And obviously we will give the villagers a carrot field and also a small beetroot field. And for the open space at the bottom I will add another wheat field because that's the villagers' main food source. And we of course can't forget about the pumpkin field and also another small carrot field. And we can also create a curved path between these three fields and maybe even expand this path a bit. And all of the open space we have left will go to the butchers because they of course need some animal pens. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good layout for all the farms and the pens. So let's get to building. I think I will start with the path between the fields, but I don't have any coarse dirt yet. So let's try to find some gravel so I can combine that with some normal dirt so I can create some coarse dirt. And we already found some. So let's grab some. This will hopefully be enough, so let's combine it with some normal dirt to create some coarse dirt. Now that I've grabbed some more rooted dirt and moss, we can start building these paths. All of the paths are in place. So now it's time to complete one of the goals of this video, which is creating some crop fields. But before I start with the farming business, I need to grab something very important, my hoe. But a normal diamond hoe isn't good enough, so let's try to enchant it with some fortune and maybe in breaking. Let's see. Well, we do have efficiency, but I don't think that's really useful, so let's re-roll it. A breaking 3, that's really nice. Am I gonna risk it? Why not? Only a breaking 3, no. I really want fortune 3, so let's try that again. Again, just a breaking 3. I guess I'll see you guys when I have fortune. Yes, we got fortune 3. Hopefully we also get efficiency or maybe in breaking. Oh, this is perfect. And I have exactly one mending book left. And the mending book looks really cool now that even better enchants doesn't require custom item textures anymore. So we can add this to our hoe. Well, I might have rerolled like 30 times or something to get an efficiency 4 enchanted book. Did I needed it? Absolutely not. But was it worth it? Absolutely yes. Because now I have a fortune 3, efficiency 5, unbreaking 3 and mending hoe. But what if I just... create a netherite hoe because I'm seriously dedicated to farming. Now I'm completely ready to start creating some fields. So let's start with the classic wheat field. The first wheat field is a fact, but I still need to wait until the wheat is fully grown. On the small pad I've created a lot of openings so you can get onto the field, but next to the main part everything is fenced off, so people who are riding a horse can't ride on top of the crops. Only right here I've made a small opening because it is next to the windmill. But while waiting for the crops to grow, I will start with the beetroot field. And as you can see, the pot is one higher right next to the field. And I did that on purpose because I want to create something like this. A stone wall which the villagers built as a kind of barrier for this field. As you guys can see, the beetroot field is completed, so let's plant the 4 beetroot seeds we have. It isn't a lot, but hopefully with our fortune hoe, we will be able to fill this field in some time. But as you could see in the time lapse, I've also created a new wheat field. I don't have any wheat seeds that I can plant, but the field over there is almost completely grown. So hopefully with our fortune tree hoe, we will get a lot of seeds. All of the wheat is now planted, but while I wait for these beetroots to grow, I will try to create a lot more fields. Here we go. That were a lot of fields, and the first one I've created is this potato field. For this potato field I've used the same design as this wheat field, with some small rocks and some fences. And of course some leaves, but for this field I've used some birch leaves. And then the second field I've created is this carrot field, which isn't completely filled, but for this field I've again used this design with this cobblestone wall between the field and the pot. I've also created a small opening right here, and also in front of the windmill there aren't any fences because they of course need to get onto the field. And yeah, I've again placed down some rocks and some fences. But I do really like this field because it's between all of the buildings, and I really like that there's this higher wall but also this smaller wall right here. Now when we follow the path and ignore this shulker monster, we of course have our beetroot field, which is now completely filled, but I've also created this field right here. This is also a carrot field, but I don't have enough carrots. And I've also created a bit of a story in this field, because you might have already noticed it, but this part of the field is completely destroyed. And that's where the storytelling comes in, because we of course have this main path through the farming area, which leads us all the way to the main village, which we still need to build. And to show you guys, I will need Diablo, because it has something to do with him. There obviously is this cobblestone wall around this field, but at first there wasn't a fence, and people who were riding their horses would cut off this path and go all the way through the field, because it is just a bit faster than going all the way around. And because of that, this field right here is completely destroyed. But the farmers of course didn't like that their field got completely destroyed, so now they've started by also building a fence around this field. Because when there is a fence, they can't go through the field anymore. But yeah, as you can see, the fence isn't completed yet because they're still building it, so there's some wood on the ground, of course a crafting table with an axe and a chest, and of course a small cart which they used to transport all of the planks they needed to build this fence. So yeah, this field just tells a small story. And I've also made a change to this field I already showed you guys. Because as you can see, this field is completely grown and the farmers have already started by harvesting all of the wheat. So yeah, they already did this part and they have turned the wheat into some hay bales. So that's also a pretty cool detail. And now the last field I built, which is right behind me. This field also has a bit of storytelling. As you can see, this field, well, it's pretty dead. A lot of the wheat crops are destroyed or haven't grown, and that's because this field didn't have enough minerals in the ground, because the villagers are of course using this field for quite some time now. So they have just left it like this for quite a while so the ground could recover. But as you can see right here, now they are preparing the field to plant some new crops. And to really show how they are doing this, I've created this plow/watering cart. Because as you can see, this dirt gets turned into some farmland using this plow. And the villagers have also created this watering system on the cart to immediately give the farmland some water. These levers are some small water pipes, which are connected to this cart, which contains a lot of water. So the villagers don't need to grab some water over and over again from the well I still need to build. So yeah, with this cart they are fixing the field to plant some more crops. But there still need to be an animal in front to pull the cart. But just like the animal pens, I think I will need to leave that for the next episode. Because creating all these fields actually took longer than expected. And we still have of course one field left to build. Which is of course the pumpkin field. But I will first grab the materials I need for this field. And I think I will again start by creating a cobblestone wall on the side. To just create a barrier between the field and the river right here. Next up, I will just create a small path that will go through the pumpkin field. Let's also create a fence around this field. And let's now create this pumpkin field. Okay, the field looks pretty good in my opinion. So now I can plant the 3 pumpkin seeds I have. I had 4, but I accidentally destroyed one. But let's plant these 3 and also bone meal them. Oh, and we already have a pumpkin, that's pretty cool. But let's also plant one right here. And also one right here. Oh, and we also got a pumpkin on this one. And with these 2 pumpkins, I can create even more seeds. Let's also plant one here. And right here. And also on these lower parts. This was a pretty successful episode. We've built 2 new windmills, each with a custom interior, and this area now looks completely different with these 8 new crop fields. We sadly haven't created any animal pens, but we at least have something fun to do in the next episode. Maybe we can even try to find the new cow, pig and chicken variants. So yeah, that's something fun we can do in the next episode, and maybe we can even finish this entire area of the village. But we'll see if that's possible possible because there is still a lot to do in this area. And I also want to create a lot more details to make it feel much more alive. But if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one.